Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. The game launches this week for those of you guys looking to get your Borderlands fix, your D&D fix, your loot fix. Basically, if you just want to go out and shoot some big ass monsters, get some badass loot, and have some fun, then this is your chance to jump in. Of course, if you guys have played Borderlands, you'll be familiar with the core gameplay loop. You go out, you shoot some bad guys, you get some loot, you level up, you equip some new gear, you become strong, and you shoot more bad guys. You guys know the flow. And of course, in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, while that is at the heart of the game, there's more. So let's talk about some of the things that you might not know and you should look out for whilst exploring the game world and the overworld. If you guys do enjoy this video, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know if you guys plan to jump into this game. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you want to catch more content from us. I also want to give a massive shout out to 2K for very kindly sponsoring this video. So to begin with, let's talk about rune switch puzzles. What are they? Where can you find them? What do you need to know? Well, they appear on your map with this symbol here, these little sort of canister looking icons grouped together. Looks almost like a weird sort of Indiana Jones scroll kind of thing. Basically, these are like fun little races. For example, you can find one of these on the rooftops of Brighthoof, the city that you will of course call home during the game. And basically, when you go up to these and you interact with them, they will initiate these little races. You have to run around or parkour your way around and grab each rune in order within the time limit, and at the end, you receive some loot, which of course in a game like this is very important because ultimately we're playing for loot. They don't take too long to do, but they are kind of fun because of course they will often send you to maybe like portions of the map that you wouldn't normally go and venture to, up on the rooftops, and of course they will sometimes test your platforming skills because if you miss the jump, you get the timing wrong, you're going to have to go back and do it again. So if you do see these or you do see this icon, make your way up there, interact with it, complete the race, and get some loot. Speaking of loot, let's talk about golden dice. Those of you guys that explore the world and like looking for collectibles, golden dice are one of those items. You'll often see these. Of course, it is a D&D style dice with many sides, and effectively when you interact with these, the dice will roll, and it has a chance of dropping both good and bad loot. Sometimes you'll get some not very exciting stuff, like bags of money. I mean, money's still important, but of course when rare weapons are on the table, it is far less exciting. However, other times, if you get a good roll, you can get some pretty nice drops. These are actually a collectible that of course you can track throughout your adventure, as and when you find them in different regions and different maps. You'll actually have a UI element which will tell you how many of these you have found in that given region. So of course, for the completionists out there, you will want to be going and pursuing these. They're typically located more off the beaten track, so jumping up higher, going behind walls, basically going sort of outside the golden path will often lead you to one of these, find them, interact with them, and hopefully get some good loot. Now, outside of that, one of the other big things in this game, of course, is the Overworld map, which is actually super cool because, of course, when you are playing through the majority of your missions, you're inside the main world, regular perspective, first person, what you kind of know. However, when you're in the Overworld, you have your little bobble heads, which is actually really cool because especially if you've made your character with a massive head, it is even bigger on the Overworld. But when you're walking around, you can, of course, unlock shortcuts. Look out for things like bottle caps or branches that you can then break. You can of course punch things on the overworld, so generally speaking, good rule of thumb is just punch everything and then you might find some. But breaking down shortcuts, creating shortcuts is kind of nice because it allows you to revisit previous areas which may have had locked doorways that you couldn't previously access without necessarily having to go and loop the entire way around the map and take the long route. So unlocking shortcuts or just breaking branches to get to little loot chests is something you should look out for. Additionally, whilst on the open world, you can also skip random encounters. Random encounters are of course part of the game. In a very sort of Pokemon-esque fashion, you can walk through long grass and you will sometimes be ambushed by little minions, and of course if you collide with them, it will initiate a random encounter. This will then send you into the encounter, you'll have to defeat a wave of enemies, and then of course once it's complete, you go out. Now of course, while they are useful for XP, I'm someone that typically doesn't like random encounters, especially when it comes to like turn-based games. They have always been, in my JRPG days, the thing that I will skip, invariably resulting in me being underleveled, then having to go back and do them again. But if you do want to skip them and you just want to get to your objective, you can also punch the enemies on the overworld, which will interrupt the encounter. So again, going back to the previous point, basically punch everything on the overworld. Additionally, look out for lost marbles. Not your lost marbles, unless of course you may have lost them, but I want to talk about these. Of course, they are another thing you should be looking out for in the game world. They don't look like your conventional marbles, they almost look like a weird sort of space asteroid kind of thing, but this is another collectible item that can also yield rewards. You will find these again off the beaten track in different locations, and of course if you find them and you destroy them, you can then unlock some more items. When we destroyed them, they typically gave us sort of more cosmetic things, armor colors, other stuff like that. Keep in mind when you return to Brighthoof, you can of course go to the quick change kiosk, which of course allows you to change some of the sort of visual customization aspects on your character. Also worth noting, whilst you're at these kiosks, you can also go back and re-customize the way your character looks. So if you perhaps change your mind or decide that you want to give yourself a much bigger head so that it looks hilarious in the overworld, you can still do that, so customization has plenty of options in this game. And then finally, don't forget your slam attack. This is one of those things that is, I feel like it's a hidden move in Borderlands games, and by extension, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. The game doesn't necessarily tell you about this, but it is actually useful in certain situations, especially given that melee combat is a slightly bigger focus this time around. Yes, you'll still be using your guns and your spells, but you do have plenty of awesome melee weapons. And if you want to do this one, you can of course jump up into the sky, and if you press crouch as opposed to melee, you will do a plunge attack, a slam attack essentially. If you think of it like The Legend of Zelda, Link doing a sword plant like hiya, this is basically the move for you. So jump up into the sky, and of course, provided you have enough height, pressing crouch will initiate a slam, which depending on your quests might actually be a mandatory thing, because one of the side quests definitely requires that you slam attack on a mushroom. So there you have it. There's a few little things that are hopefully useful for you, things that you should definitely do outside of course, working your way through the main story missions, of course, leveling up your characters, and just following all the quests. So hopefully you guys find that helpful. If you guys do want to know more about the game, by all means let us know in the comments down below. We will have more videos coming for you, so definitely keep it locked on the channel. If you haven't caught our latest upload, be sure to check out this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.